Okay, Travis Wayne Goodsell. I was checking out my analytics for the first time in a long time. For the last 28 days, my breaking LDS news, Russell M. Nelson changes temple covenants again. Back on July 21st, I had 1,800 views. It's almost 3,000 views. That's quite surprising. There are some that have steadily increased over time. But the older version of the remake of the video I did on my other channel list an order of all LDS Mormon Latter-day Signs in Heavens. That also is upwards of around 3,000, although it only had 1,200 for the past 28 days. The third remake that is still currently on my channel, main channel video, LDS Last Days Exodus, identifying the Mormon signs in heaven, that took fourth with 606 in the last 28 days. And so that's destined to also continue to grow. Unless, of course, we hit the millennium, and then who cares about the signs in the last days, right? As long as the millennium, or the long as the last days continues, the latter days, I'll be able to keep getting views. And so, unfortunately, I've already identified we're in the Exodus time. LDS Last Days Exodus has begun. Is third, with over 1,000. And that was August 26th when I did that one. That's just barely over a month. A month and a couple weeks. One week, I guess. 1 week and a day or two. But that was just a 2-minute, 45-second video on that one. So, yeah, August 26th. It was a little premature. The Exodus technically began on the Jewish New Year, which is 3,333 years since the Jews consider the date of the Exodus. So yes, that's how I know. We're in the Exodus period right now. This is it. The Book of Mormon already confirmed the dates. Joseph Smith confirmed the Book of Mormon of the confirmation of the dates. So yes, this is it. It's now. We have the sign today of the fall of Babylon. And yes, it's the church. It's conference. Ishtar, Babylon, Venus. Venus is the girl. And so this one I did on September 20th caught my attention because it was supposedly Nelson who did a Facebook post saying he was going to declare priestcraft for the October 2020 General Conference. And that was all we got from him in regards to keeping us updated. And maybe they were hoping to draw people to his Facebook channel, to be his Facebook buddy. I don't do Facebook because, Russians are stealing the data from Facebook through the apps, and then buying advertising to deceive people on YouTube or Facebook. YouTube's also got their version of it. YouTube's run differently, so the Russians have to do things differently. And I noticed the Russians are still doing things differently than they did in 2016 on YouTube. That's also interesting, because YouTube has made some changes that's caused the Russians to have to re-decide how they're going to do things. But I did notice a lot of spam that got flooded earlier this year, and YouTube was not keeping up with them, and I had to tell YouTube, hey guys, this is the new spam for this election year, you need to be on top of this. And it looks like they have. It's backed off as we near the election, but a lot of them was for sex sites. There's nothing showing on them. Apparently the sex site gets taken down, or it's a bogus site, or maybe I just don't know how to utilize it. I'm a good boy. And so yeah, but I did trace some of the YouTubers, and one of them in particular had a thumbnail channel picture that I notified YouTube of, and they promptly went on the full-on ban on all of those guys. So you just got to bring children into the mix, because YouTube's all paranoid about having videos exposing children. So yes, it's not a problem to shut that process down. And so for conference in 45 minutes, we should expect not only priestcraft, but other protection racket, criminal organization hustles, and LDS church history lies, and other types of things. And so these are what you need to look for in this pre-show video, is that when they say, we encourage you Mormons to go to the temple, you need to understand what they mean by that. You know, Mormons interpret that as, oh, I'm drawing nearer to God by abiding, by going to the temple, than by any other temple. They don't stop and go, wait a minute, what's required of me to go to the temple, though? Number 10 in the interview question, being a full tithe payer. That's a protection racket. That's a crime. That's a serious federal felony crime. So, Mormons don't understand this. The church thinks they're protected under the cloak of being a religious entity. They're using that as their front to commit all of these financial crimes. And so it's no different than the mafia used to do, by having a front of a garbage man, for example. Garbage men have to go around to the various areas in the block that they manage, their territory, and as they get the regular money from all the stores and the people in the area for the payment to pick up the trash on a regular monthly, daily basis, or however often it was done, they would then have the guys who are picking up the money also hustle them for a little extra for protection. That's why it's a protection racket. It's an insurance scam. That's what it's now called. The mafia, having been chased out of that form of protection racket, have now moved into unions and insurance companies to hustle people. And so that's why companies have now picked up on this. So when you buy a Maytag washing machine, you only have a warranty guarantee for up to 5 years now. And when they had Gordon Jump, the Mormon from WKRP in Cincinnati, he insisted that Maytag offer a lifetime guarantee, otherwise he wasn't going to do their commercials. So that's why they had excellent washers under Gordon Jump. But once he died, Maytag decided to throw consumers under the bus and decided to put out crap. As I bought one after Gordon Jump died, and was even told by the salesman, yeah, this isn't going to be a lifetime thing, because the company no longer makes them the way they used to. It's sad when the salespeople even know what's going on. Just like my dad knew why he was getting the financial position in Ford Motor Company in Michigan after the Pinto scandal, and just barely graduated from Berkeley, and job just happened to be available. And they were willing to take anybody. But yeah, my dad knew the whole scandal of how Ford purposely tried to produce an inferior product that would break down quicker, causing the consumer to have to pay more in the long run, even though they put out the front that it was a cheap car. And so that's one scandal that is common in the church. The other one is faith. You'll notice that they're being more bold in declaring themselves as science deniers, even though Nelson's a scientist, even though Oakes is a judge who is supposed to have a knowledge of fallacious arguments, unsound reasoning, and yet these guys, they don't care. They're wanting to present Mormons with false doctrine. Mormon doctrine of faith is science-based. It is not spiritual-based that can't be based. For example, if Mormons were to have a belief in a supernatural being as their deity, then Mormons have to dismiss it immediately, because it's a fallacy. You cannot believe in an entity that is not an entity to be comprehended in order to be believed in. That may sound complicated, but that's the whole point. That's the trap. And that's why you need to dismiss such a concept of a deity. If it's supernatural, which means it cannot ever be proven in the physical world, does not apply to physical laws, it doesn't exist. Somebody's trying to pull a fast one on you. And so, yeah, you got to look for those types of arguments in the church. And we've seen that with Nelson saying, I appreciate the work that everybody's doing on coronavirus. I myself am a medical doctor. And then he goes, but I'm also a man of faith. He just threw the science under the bus. He threw his whole educational career that made him a millionaire under the bus. And then says, hey, we're going to have a worldwide fast. What is involved in a fast? You may think, oh yeah, that's in the scriptures. That's Jesus. He said to do that. Okay. That's what Mormons hear. What really happens is that Mormons are required to give money called fast offerings. Do you see what's going on here? It's another financial hustle. And so with the missionary work, that's another hustle. We send out kids who only had 1 year of seminary, skipping over everything, only hitting the highlights day after day for seminary. And that's supposed to be sufficient enough for them to know Mormonism? And they go out and tell everybody to, hey, join the church. They'll start paying tithing, which the missionaries don't get any of that money. It goes all to the top of the pyramid. And the missionaries, for the most part, are encouraged to save up for a mission or have their parents pay for a mission. If you're poor, then they have a donation process where people can donate to a missionary fund. But do you see what's going on? The church does not spend their money, their capital gains. They get donations to pay for things that the Mormons can't pay for themselves, and then the church receives all the income through that pyramid scheme scam. That's what missionary work is. Because once you're baptized, you got to be paying tithing. That's how you show your loyalty. And so the church ain't free. It's supposed to be free. Isaiah says it's supposed to be free. But it's not free. It's a money scam on all different levels. And then pay attention to church history. They throw in a lot of stuff that is just blatantly false. Lately, they've been having to try to clarify history that they've been lying about previously. You know, now they're trying to say that there was one rock in Joseph's hat, not two, called the Urim and Thummim, and that he used a rock to receive revelation rather than having Sidney Rigdon write the book, and Joseph Smith Sr. replacing the 116 pages. See, these things the church is clueless on, but they don't want to find the truth. And so they have to somehow present the lie, but adjust as church historians or other historians who learn about church history. They have to adapt. And so that's why they are now presenting one bright, shiny rock rather than the two original rocks that the South Park guy has accurately shown, as I did a thing for that. Let's see. How far am I into this video? Because we've got 30 minutes. I want to make sure it's out before conference. So yeah, I probably should end right soon, quick here. Yeah, pay attention. They never talk about warning you of the latter days, of the latter day signs in heavens. They're just silent, and they're even saying, oh, it's some future distant thing still. Well, we just have one today, and they're going to be silent about it. They have to, because it condemns them. And so, yeah, don't be fooled. Just because they say things that ring true for you from the scriptures, don't fall for it when they throw in other stuff that, you know, financially scam you. The charities, LDS charities, remember them? Nelson came out not too many conferences ago and says, oh yeah, $2 billion from the LDS charities. Church is great. Well, again, that was another thing that fully funded by donations, not the church. The church, as we now know, because of the $100 billion scam for tithing, they take money from those donations to the LDS charities and invest 10% of it into another investment company other than Ensign Peak Associates, because Ensign Peak Associates is only for tithing. They have other investment companies for each and every single income thing, so that not one investment company knows about all the investments of the church. And so nobody knows the true finances of the church, which we can be pretty good at guessing trillions. And so priestcraft, defined in the Book of Mormon, is exclusive as a word in the Book of Mormon. It's where they don't take care of the members who are suffering and then become filthy rich off of the Mormon suffering. And that's what the church has done. It's a scam. They don't put their own money into the LDS charities. It's donations. And they take from those donations to make themselves richer. It's just another way to increase their wealth. And so don't be fooled. The $2 billion, by the way, they used it up pretty much in the beginning, which was years ago. Don't be fooled. It's all a con. They are a criminal organization. They are not God's true church. And they came out with the excuse, oh, well, we're just following the parable of the talents. And what exactly was the parable of the talents? Oh, 3 guys were given different amounts of money to go into town and invest in it. Not the investment that the church is doing, but investing in a business. Buying stuff for farming, say, for example. So you have to buy seed and all the stuff for farming, and then you produce the crop, you sell the crops at the market. The return on your investment, the profit margin, is how much more you've made from the original investment. That's the original concept of investing, and that's gone today. The American dream is gone. And so what happened was the Lord came back and said, oh, wow, you guys, 2 of the guys, you guys increased the amount of money that I gave you. Well done. Here you go. You get it back. That's how the church sees this. That, oh, well, we're just increasing the amount that we've been given from Mormons. And then when the second coming comes, because they don't believe in the second coming, that they'll just get to keep the money anyway. Seriously? That's how you interpreted that. Yes, that's how they interpreted that. And they had no concept of the spiritual interpretation of that. So, there's the bell. So pay close attention. Just because they say stuff from the scriptures doesn't mean that that's their intention. They know how to encode what they really want from you.